Hello, I'm Gina, and this is English to Express It. In this video, we will look at the language your students can use to ask others about their preferences and to politely say no to offers. As we have learned in this module, social emotional learning means respecting others' feelings as well as your own. First, let's identify the language students can use. Then, I will build a sample lesson plan you could use to teach this language. So how do we ask others about their preferences? Here's some options I brainstormed. Would you like to? Do you want to? We answer yes or no in response. However, many of us are reluctant to say no unless we can do it politely. So, to help students feel confident when they say no, we need to teach the language of how to do it politely. These three options work well. No thank you but no, I don't want to right now. Notice that thank you softens the first two and right now softens the last one because you may change your mind in the future. So, how could we build a lesson to teach this language? I always start with my objectives, what I want students to be able to do by the end of the lesson. Then, I create a final activity in which I can see if students met the objectives. Next, I create a practice activity so that students can practice the language I want them to be able to use. Then, I decide what the new learning is that I need to teach students so they're ready for the practice activity. This might be new vocabulary, new functional language, or something else. Finally, I make a list of the materials that I need to create the lesson. And I add this near the top to remind me. Notice the way I think about a lesson plan. My focus is on the goals for learning, and more time is spent on students practicing and using language than on my own teaching. Now, I'll share the lesson that I created with you. I would have two objectives for this lesson. First, students will be able to ask classmates about preferences. And second, students will be able to say no politely. What are the materials that I will need? I will need pieces of paper, enough for 1/2 the number of students, with a topic on one side and yes or no written on the other side. What new learning will I present to the students? I will teach the functional language of asking about preferences. Would you like to? Do you want to? And I will teach students how they can say no politely. No thank you but no, I don't want to right now. For the practice activity, I will give one piece of paper to 1/2 of the students. I will ask everyone to stand up and find a partner. A student with a piece of paper will find a student without one. The student with the piece of paper will have some words that they can use to ask their partner about their preferences. For example, one piece of paper might say, sit together at lunch. The student with the piece of paper might ask their partner, would you like to sit together at lunch? The partner will either answer yes or no, depending on what is written on the back of the paper. For example, if it says no, the partner might say, thank you, but no. After each set of partners has asked and answered their question, the partner with the piece of paper gives it to the other student, and they now each find a new partner. They repeat each time in a new role and with a different piece of paper. Since I want students to really be able to use the language in their real lives, for the final activity, I would ask students to find a partner. With their partner, they would ask real questions such as, do you want to play ball after school? And will give true answers, yes or no. As students are talking with their partner, I will move around the room so that I can hear if the objectives were met.